All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the edit menu. So let's head over to Photoshop and load that up. And let's click on the edit menu here. And I'm just going to go over a quick overview of what everything is, and then we'll actually use some of the tools. Okay, so in the edit menu, you have the undo, redo, toggle last state, fade, cut copy, copy merged, paste, paste special, and clear. So these are common tools that I use all the time. So let's hit Control N to create a new document. And we'll just do the default Photoshop size. That's fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw number 1, 2, 3, and 4. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just follow along. So I want to show you what you can do here. So we can undo the brush tool or toggle last state. Okay, so if I hit Control Z, it's going to get rid of the dot, and then it's going to get rid of the 4. Or well, however I draw it, so if I hit Control Z again, it'll get rid of the dot and get rid of the number 3. Control Z, get rid of the dot, get rid of the number 2. Control Z, get rid of the dot, get rid of the number 1. Now, if I want to redo that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo the brush tool. So we did the undo tool. Now I want to redo it. So we're going to hit Shift Control Z. So Shift Control Z. That's going to bring back the number 1. And then if I hit it again, then we'll get the dot. I'll get the number 2, and I'll get the dot. I'll get the number 3, and I get the dot. Every time I hold Control, Shift, and then hit Z, it brings everything back. So if I wanted to undo that, I would hit Control Z. I'd hold Control and then hit Z, and that would undo it. But if I hit Shift and hold the Control button and then do Z, then I get it back. Okay? So really all you're doing is to undo it, you're going to hit Control Z. To redo it, you're going to hit Control Shift Z. Okay? So you're just going to add Shift to that. So that's a majority of these tools right here. The cut, copy, copy merge, paste special are self-explanatory, but I'm going to show you anyway real quick. If I make a new layer here and I grab the brush tool, where are you, brush tool? Here we go. I'm going to do 1 and then a dot, and then I'll do Control Shift N, which creates a new layer. We haven't talked about this yet, but that's just a shortcut. And then 2, and then the dot. Okay, so now, if I hit Control A, you see how this marquee tool is all the way around. It's the selection tool, and it's selecting the whole canvas, right? But really all it's doing is selecting this layer. So if I hit Control C, or do Edit, Copy, and then do Edit, Cut, or hit Control Z to undo that, and then hit Control X, then what I'm doing is I can create a new layer, Control Shift N, layer 3, and I'm going to hit Control Z, or no, V, I think it is. Yeah, there we go. Control V, that paste. So essentially what we did is we cut, copied, and pasted. Control X, so Control C to copy, Control X to cut, and Control V to paste. Okay, and then if you want to do a paste special, paste without formatting, paste in place, paste into, paste outside. So we could do paste in place. There you go. We got another one. Let's do one more. And it's right on top of the other one. So now we have a couple 2s, and I got 5 layers and the background. So search, you can search for stock content, learn content, Photoshop content. Okay. Check spelling. We don't have any errors because we have numbers. Find and replace text. I don't have any text to replace, but if you need that tool, it's a great tool. Fill. Okay, so it's not. There we go. So what I did is I unlocked this layer. So you're going to see right here, there's a little lock on your layer here. If you just double click it, it'll unlock it and then open up the filter. But you can do that, or you can just click here too. I really like shortcuts, so. But then it does stuff that I don't want it to do. So either way is fine. But we're going to select the layer 0 here. And what I want to do is go to fill. And what it's doing is this is the foreground. So this black palette here is the foreground, well, swatch. I'm going to call it a swatch. The foreground swatch is right here, and the background is white. So there's the background, there's the foreground. So this is one way you can do it, where you go there and then you can select a fill. The stroke, you can set it here if you want, but I recommend using the filter over here because there's a lot more options. And if you want to change the background and the foreground, so this is the foreground. So if you want to change that, just double click this and then go in your color picker and grab whatever color you want. Okay, I'm going to cancel that and then if you want to go to the background, just double click the white and then do the same thing. Change the color to whatever background you want, and it's super simple. And if you want to switch them, you just click this little button here and it'll switch back and forth, or you can hit X. That's what I like to use. X is really fast. So you just hit X and then it'll go back and forth, and then you can change the color whatever you want. Okay, we'll get into that later. But right now, so that's the fill and the stroke. Content aware fill, that's not active right now, so we're not going to talk about that too much. Content aware scale, puppet, wrap, perspective, warp, free transform. Okay, this is one I use a lot. So what this does, this selects the layer you're on, and then you can resize this. Now they changed this because it used to be I had to hold shift and do this. Now it's the opposite. You don't have to hold shift, you just drag, and it automatically will adjust the aspect ratio for you and keep it even. So it's a nice tool, but they just make changes on me, so I have to get adjusted. Transform, so you can do scale, skew, rotate, skew, distort, perspective, warp, rotation 180 degrees, rotate 90 degrees clockwise, and then rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. Okay, then we have flip horizontal, flip vertical. So I can flip that vertical because that's just that content. Now if I went to this one and did the same thing, we go to transform and we skew, then you can see that's a skew. Okay, and if I go to layer 2, which I need to change my labeling, we'll do that later, we can rotate clockwise. It says I'm empty. Why? Okay, let's do this one then. We can do rotate clockwise. There you go. So those are some of the effects that you can do in the transform area. Purge, you can do clipboard, histories, all, video cache, Adobe PDF presets, preset manager, migrate presets, export, import, remote connections, color settings, assign to profile, or assign profile, convert to profile, keyboard shortcuts, menus, toolbar, and preferences. So this is the one I care about the most. Keyboard shortcuts and menus. Awesome. You don't have to learn all these right now, but I'm telling you, this is going to make your life so easy once you get the hang of it. And trust me, it takes a little time, but I've been using this software a long time, and I live by the shortcuts. And when they do an update and they change my shortcuts, I just change them back. That way I can keep working the way that I've been working for 15 years, you know? All right, so I'll cancel that. Let's look at the preferences real quick. I'm not going to go over a lot of this other stuff because we're going to be going through all the menus, so I don't want to change anything. But basically, this gives you the option to go through here, and you can change the shortcuts and, you know, restore things and set defaults and load presets and all that. I don't want to do that. I want to leave it just the way it is so that I can show you how to use it. So let's do preferences, and we'll just go to general. And that covers everything. So in general, you can set the color picker, the HUD color picker, the image interpolation, so bicubic automatic, interface, so the color theme. We can go darker if you want, which makes it easier on your eyes. So I'll keep it at that. Workspace, you can set whatever options you want here. Tools, you can show tool tips, use rich tool tips, etc. History log, you can look at your history log and see what you got. File handling, always save. File extension, use lowercase. Export, quick export format, PNG. You can set this to SVG, GIF, JPEG, or PNG. If you're doing web, I recommend doing PNG because that's either PNG or SVG for web. If you're doing graphic design, JPEG, depending on where it's going, you know. But the default is PNG. So you can change that there if you want, or you can change it somewhere else. Performance, let Photoshop use 70% of my RAM. That's fine. The scratch disk, this is just where everything's saved and start up. So I have 254 gigs of free space there and 1.5 terabytes here. Cursors, you can change the cursors. Standard, precise, you know, whatever you want to do with that. Transparency, settings, I'd leave all this as it is. Units and rulers, I haven't even shown you the ruler tool, but I'll do that next. Guides, grid and slices, I'd leave that the way it is. Plugins, you can get plugins. Type options, so use smart quotes, enable glyph protection, show font names in English, use escape key to commit text, etc. 3D, same deal. We're going to use 100% RAM to do 3D rendering. I recommend doing that. Just make sure you have a lot of RAM so you can handle this if you're doing that. Technology previews. That's really it. So I'll close that out. Let me show you the ruler real quick. We're going to hit Control R, and that's the ruler. So you can see here that it's in, if I right click on it, we're in pixels. You can go inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, picas, I don't know what that is, percent. Okay, the one I work in all the time is pixels. That's all I do. So I have done inches as well, but I try to just keep it in pixels. Keep it simple. I see in pixels, I'm just saying, okay? So that's the edit menu. So thank you for joining me on this video. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.